The Ansett Cup brings new challenges. For many, it is the start of a wonderful journey in this great game we call Australian football. This is round 2 of the Ansett Cup.
Hello and welcome to round 2 Ansett Cup action this afternoon, coming your way from Optus Oval, a Group 3 clash between Carlton and Adelaide. And in actual fact, it's the first match of a big double-header on 7 this afternoon. We'll be heading straight up to Canberra, Manuka Oval, for the Kangaroos and Kilda clash right after today's match. And that's not the only Ansett Cup drama happening today. The scheduled match in Cairns tonight between Brisbane and the Western Bulldogs is in doubt because of a cyclone in the Cairns region. So there's a meeting at 4 o'clock to decide the fate of that match, and we will keep you updated as we get reports in. Joining us, a special guest in the commentary box today, recently retired Geelong champ Barry Stone. And welcome, Bazza.
Jason, great to be here. Thanks very much.
Missing the game, particularly after watching the Cats last night?
Not at all. Look, a great game last night, but just the release of the mental and physical pressure is fantastic, and don't miss it at all at this stage.
And one man, certainly, as we see the Crows marching out onto the ground, one man that hasn't retired is Carlton stalwart and skipper Craig Bradley, a man that just seems to get better with age. Turned 37 last October. He's chalked up 333 games, 10th in the best and fairest last year, and 16 possessions a game.
The thing that astounds me is his age at 36 and playing 21 games at great quality. His standard of play in every game is fantastic. And to be the link player he is for the Carlton team, from the half-back line and from the back line and also from the midfield, is fantastic. And the way he's going, his fitness-wise and longevity, he'll go another 2 or 3 years, I believe, because he's so fit and really durable.
Reminiscent of Michael Tuck, indeed. He just seems to keep on keeping on. Well, let's take a look at the Carlton lineup, because new coach Wayne Britton, he's going to have plenty of talent at his disposal, isn't he?
He certainly has. A few good youngsters, and one in particular is Ryan Houlihan, who had a good start last week, and Wayne Britton's a big rep of his. And he's a Rolls Royce of a Houlihan family, is Ryan, and a very exciting talent. Mark Porter, who, with Aaron Hamill now gone from the Carlton lineup, a bit more, I suppose, responsibility on Mark to play down forward as well as ruck, and I think he's an important part. And also Ange Christou, in the papers during the week, as far as he's missed 2 years with absence with his back injury, backfiring, signed a 1-year contract, and looking forward to a good year from Ange.
No Silvani, no Koutafidis, but certainly plenty of big names there, and there is the old master himself, Craig Bradley. He just fit as a fiddle at the age of 37.
Looking super fit, and just, I just think he'll keep on going and going as long as he can.
All right, well, Lance Whitnell, he's another one that's had a few fitness problems, but he keeps going to that fat camp or whatever they want to call it up north, and he comes back looking a treat, doesn't he?
He does. And a player, he plays so well, probably more than he really is. He's 21 years old, and he really plays like an older player and a fantastic player and a really important part of their team.
Now, on the other side of the coin, a man that's under a bit of pressure you would know only all too well from your days at Geelong, Adelaide coach Gary Ayres.
Yes, look, he coached Geelong for 5 years, and the first 3 of those years he made the finals, and the first year he was coaching in '95, he made the grand final, so he started off very well. The last 2 years at Geelong wasn't a great position. He got 12th and 11th, and his first year at Adelaide was 11th, so under the pump this year. I think more so because he's in Adelaide. I mean, certainly he was in Melbourne his first year, got 11th, he might have had a chance and not been too much under pressure, but this year, a lot of pressure on Gary. Certainly his win ratio is 54%.
Yep.
It's better than his losing ratio, so certainly under the pump, probably unjustifiably, I think.
Yeah, it's a rather odd thing to be one of the favourites to be the first coach to lose your job in 2001, but they will bet on anything. Let's take a look at the Adelaide lineup this afternoon.
Yes, and 3 great players for Adelaide over the years. Darren Jarman, of course, just the master. Keeps on going, getting better and better as he gets older, and whether it be midfield or the forward line, he certainly is an instrumental part of their team, and if he plays well, the Adelaide team win quite a few games of those. Andrew McLeod, a bit of, I suppose, news in the past few weeks about maybe retiring. He wasn't quite sure, wasn't quite happy with how things are going. But I think it's important to play Andrew in the midfield. He's a great player, and really 2 Norm Smith medals is testament to that, so it's important he does play in the midfield. And Matty Robran, centre-half back or centre-half forward. When he's playing centre-half forward, Adelaide play very well, and he's a long kick and a good mark and a good leading player. So those 3 players, they've been around for a few years, are very important for the Adelaide team today and for the season 2001.
As we see the Crows players warming up, Nigel Smart, he'll be an important one this afternoon as well, and I hope he handles the ball a little bit better than he did just there. We're looking forward to a great contest this afternoon at Optus Oval, and we'll be back in just a moment with the first bounce. Welcome back to Optus Oval. Plenty of young talent on display here as we take a look at our Ansett Future Flyers. And our first is young Carlton player Jim Plunkett. Now, Barry, he's an interesting story. Ex-Western Bulldog, 10 games over the last couple of years, now finds himself in a blue jumper.
Yeah, look, a very impressive player, Jimmy Plunkett, with the Bulldogs, I thought. Watching him over the last 2 years, is a real tenacious sort of player. He impressed Wayne Britton last week with the Carlton team against the Bulldogs. Obviously pretty fight up against his old team in the first Ansett Cup game, but he was very impressive for the Carlton. And I think he'll really find a really good niche in the team, whether it be in a half-back line or back pocket, on ball sometimes. So I think he's going to be a very good pickup for the Carlton team.
And here's a very interesting one. Young Chris Laddams, a 20-year-old midfielder, originally from North Adelaide, spent the last couple of years at Essendon, but as you'd probably expect, couldn't break into the senior side there.
No, look, he's a midfielder. He didn't play any senior games the last couple of years. The reason being Masuti, McCurry, Heffernan and these guys are very hard to break into that team. He's only 20 years old and a really good future, and I think coming across to Adelaide, back to his home state, he'll be very happy back at home, and I think he'll be a very good player for the midfield, helping the likes of Bickley and Jarman and these players out just through their old wearying legs.
Well, we'll keep a close eye on those two budding young stars as we welcome the man calling all the action this afternoon, the great man himself, KB, Kevin Bartlett. How are you doing, Kevin?
Very good, thank you, Jason, and welcome also to Barry. And hasn't Geelong kicked on since you've retired?
They have. They're a great forward line, haven't they?
They've got that forward line working beautifully now.
And the man bringing us all the boundary line developments today as they happen, the game's record holder for the Western Bulldogs, and let's not forget one stellar season down at Fitzroy. Dougie Hawkins, what are the ground conditions like, Douglas?
How are you, Jace? The ground conditions made it absolutely sensational. Perfect day for football, mate. Nearly hit your tucker off this surface. It is just absolutely brilliant. A bit of a breeze blowing across my shoulder here towards the Carlton Social Club end. Carlton last week had a great win against the Western Bulldogs. Adelaide were beaten very soundly by Brisbane down in New Zealand. Midfield's fairly even. No Ratton, no Rashudo. It's going to get down to the ruck duels. I think with Matthew Allen, Mark Porter would be too good for the Adelaide ruckman. For me, I'm going for Carlton at $1.20, a bit short, but they will win. They are good things. Back to you, Jason.
And of course, Carlton today, as we start the game, missing Silvani and Koutafidis, two of their big guns. And of course, Ratton, who won the best and fairest last year, along with Camporelli, also out of the side. McLeod, there was talk he wasn't going to play today, burst out of that centre square up towards the half-forward line. Coming out strongly was Ans Christ, who did well. They'll just share the ball around. Houghton, what a season he had last year, played every game. Camporelli pumps the ball back to the centre square. Whitnell's always going to be the target. Taken away by Clark to McGregor. Pumps the ball back towards the half-forward line. Bowed with quick hands to Robran. Now they've caught advantage. The player's actually stopped. Now the player is going to come back. In fact, he's going to play it downfield, is he?
He played holding the man there
to Ian Perry. So Ian Perry will take the kick. Hurt his shoulder last year, Perry.
Well, they played advantage for the initial free kick, and as the ball floated forward, it was just a little bit of manhandling. They are looking very closely at the one-on-one duels this year.
Well, he looked a prospect last year, gave him some marking power up forward, and Perry from 25 metres out has pushed it left.
And that's an unusual kicking style, KB. He kicked that off about 2 steps.
Yeah. Let's go down to Doug.
Yeah, boys, the Adelaide bench at the moment, we have James Byrne, Robert Shirley, Rhett Biglands, David Gallagher, Justin Chicilio, I think he has pronounced the name, and Stuart Brown.
Don't call me Shirley. As Ans Christou pumps the ball wide. Hume was caught. Going in pretty hard, the Adelaide Crows, coming off a poor performance last week. Too much carry on the ball for Bode. Bassett is lined up on the forward line. Now, this has been pumped forward by, is that Sikoala? Let's see, the young boy has put it through. That is, in fact, Chris Laddams.
Well, that's the young fellow we highlighted, one of the Ansett Future Flyers, Chris Laddams. Spent the last couple of years at Essendon, and what a great start to this match.
Yeah, they came out full of fire, Adelaide, didn't they?
Yeah, Darren Hume just got caught in traffic. He had nowhere to go, no teammate in support. 3 or 4 Crows swooped on, and the ball came forward. No mark was taken there, but in the end, he received a good handball from Bassett, who's playing at the opposite end of the ground we normally see him at. And Laddams just kicked a very good goal.
And he was the Ansett Future Flyer, Chris Laddams, just 20 years of age. Looks very much like Sikoala when you see Sikoala also alongside him. So just 2 young boys trying to make their mark with the Adelaide Crows. This man has really made a mark in AFL football. McLeod kicks the ball long. Perry was the target up front. McKay comes away from halfback. The old general across halfback. Sets it up. Running with a flight is Beaumont. That came from Fletcher. He's on centre wing. Calling for the ball wide was Plunkett. He's been ignored. Crowell in hot pursuit for Vola. Wanting a bounce was Porter. Keeps the ball alive. A centering kick. He'll set it up. Tyson Edwards finds the run of McLeod. Having plenty of touches in this first quarter. Back to Edwards. Two old heads combined. Wobbles the kick back towards the half-forward line. Bode lacking inches. The ball comes out. Still 60 metres out from goal. Blues coming off a big win over the Bulldogs. McKay didn't play. He's back in the side today. Welsh, 47 goals last year. Robram, 35 metres out. Has he got the angle on the ball? He hasn't. And through for one behind.
Quite ominous signs. Andrew McLeod in the midfield starting very well. Probably 4 or 5 disposals so far in the game. Playing very well.
Well, we'll go down to Doug Hawkins with the Carlton bench now, Dougie.
Yeah, Jason, on the Carlton bench, we've got Adrian Hickmont. We've got young Andrew Merrington, Ben Nelson, the great man Craig Bradley, Dean Rice and young Heath Colpert.
Just having a look at Andrew Merrington. Dead spin image of his father, Gary. Of course, played with the Western Bulldogs. Ball kick wide. Smart. Good body pressure. Was relinquished the vice-captaincy this year. And also being bowled over the line for the Blues was Houlihan. It was very impressive last week. And some big raps on Houlihan. Expected to take a big step this year. Throwing on centre wing. The Crows have opened well, 1-2-8. The Blues yet to score. Edwards with pace. Got clear. Ange Christou goes the fist for a toss back in.
Interesting setup for the Blues. Matty Allen in the ruck, and they've got the other big fellow, Mark Porter, standing down in the goal square at full forward. So you probably expect the two big men to change down there.
And we know Matty Allen can kick a goal too, Barry.
He can. He played well last year, a couple of years in the forward line.
And Porter, of course, got his chance last year when Matty Allen, before the finals, found himself out of the side. There he is, speaking the devil with the ball. Sets the ball up wide to Vance. Young boy still trying to just make it with the Blues. Camperelli, a great kick, and finds Favola. Well, he can kick goals in the Ansett Cup. We know about the 12, but he kicked 4 goals in the final last year for the Blues as well. Whitnell got him. I think Favola can actually really play. He spent a lot of time coming off the bench, Barry.
That's for sure. Look, he kicked a lot of goals the last few years, as you say, in Ansett Cup and trial games. It's a very important part now Hamill's gone with, say, Mark Porter in the goal square, Lance Whitnell centre half forward, and Favola floating around the half forward flank. A very, very important play for their structure. And I think with Lance Whitnell playing good football, he's a very smart player, Whitnell, as we see here. He just keeps on running and running. And a player who plays, belies his age, really, Lance. And I think those guys are very important in their structure in the forward line.
Well, it was a poor kick. He kicked 70 goals last year, Lance Whitnell. But it is quite amazing that he has held down a key position from the moment he first came into AFL football. He's done it so well. Jarman and McLeod both playing today for the Crows. Whitnell. McGregor was his opponent. Loose ball. Going in hard with Stenglen. Hume. Can he trap it? Does well on centre wing. Allen said kick it back towards half forward. It's a poor kick. Intercepted by Bode. Some run across half back. Robin's going to be the target at centre half forward, and he's got it. Playing on Houghton. They get the run again. Laddams has already kicked the goal out in front. Is that a free kick? Not paid. Looked a bit high. Ange Christou burrows in after the ball. The ball up just 35 metres out from the Crows' goal. Risciuto not playing today. He's gone to a wedding. Also Vardy out of the side. Ben Hart also was named in the squad. Hasn't taken his spot today, along with Ben Marsh and Kane Johnson. Of course, the big man Sean Wren now a Hawk. So a lot of changes in this side from last year. Pouncing on the ball was Houlihan. Was he legged?
No, it'll go back to the original free kick to Brendan Favola. He looks very good on the lead. We've only seen him basically last year operating out of the goal square. Now, with a little bit more freedom at half forward, it'll be interesting to see how he slots in.
And probably will relish the fact with a bit more space, Jason. High ball. Porter's the target. Over the back is McGregor. Now, we've mainly seen McGregor play as the centre half forward over the last 2 years. He's really struggled in that position, but as you would know, Barry, it is a very tough position to hold down when you're a young player.
It certainly is, and a young player coming through, it's tough to play centre half forward. And they've changed with Bassett, it seems, for this day today.
Clark finds Goodwin, who was maybe a controversial selection in the All-Australian side, but he did win the best and fairest for the Crows. Allen does that so well, just parks himself across half-back. High ball from Ange Christou. They'll need a crummer. Robin did well, just with body strength. Bowled out of the way. Good play by Freeborn.
Stolen.
Really stepped up last year. Houghton played every game as well. Goes wide. They need a kind bounce. They get it. Camporelli dodging and weaving. Some fancy footwork back towards centre half forward. It's clever play, keeping the ball alive into the pocket. Plunkett. They'd say he was very good last week. Finally, the ball is forced back over the line. So we see Plunkett on screen. Have a look at Camporelli.
Always has time with the ball, doesn't he? The sign of a good class player.
Well, he's come off a big season, Camporelli. Really stepped up last year as really a midfield superstar of the competition. There he is again. Plunkett, can he kick a goal? 40 metres out. He's got it.
Well, the two Ansett future flyers featuring prominently early in this match. We've seen Laddams at one end kick a goal, and now Jim Plunkett smash him at the other end. Used at both ends at the Western Bulldogs, but he seems to be finding a spot on the forward line. He kicked a couple last week, and if he continues in this sort of form, who's to say he won't earn a regular spot in the Carlton forward line?
Well, we did see him last year a couple of times. Looks like he's got ability. And Scott Camporelli already with 6 possessions. So the Crows by a point. 128 plays 117. And we saw last year Powell move from the Bulldogs and did very well with Melbourne. Camporelli, that's possession number 7, a beautiful kick, and finds Porter. Can't beat talent.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think people watching can actually appreciate how good that kick was, because when he broke towards the 50-metre line, Mark Porter was basically standing side by side with his opponent, and it wasn't a true lead. And then all he did was have a look up. Camporelli decided that all he had to do was kick it to the side of the contest that Porter was on. You can just see there was only a half-pace lead, but he was too strong, the big fellow in front.
And he had plenty more space to go too, Camporelli. Could have kept on going through the goals, kicked it himself, but unselfishly gave it away and unfortunately missed the goal.
Disappointing kick, Barry.
There's a bit of a breeze down in that pocket, I think. There's a little bit of a swirly breeze blowing, and
left to right.
Caused a couple of misses early on.
It's a bit of a breeze, Jace, down here, blowing across the ground towards the Carlton Social Club end. And they win the ball out of the centre of the Blues, aren't they, at the moment? And looks like Matthew Allen well on top in the ruck.
Scotty Welsh finds McLeod, always plenty of run, particularly through the centre. Bode had it in his hands, couldn't hang on to it. Plunkett. Well, he'll be buoyed by that goal. He's coming off a big game last week against the Bulldogs. Played on Scotty West. Freeborn thrashed into that time by McLeod. Clark looking for a big season, disappointed last year. Freeborn does well. Camporelli, another possession. 8 possessions in this first quarter. Just too much carry on the ball. Smart got a foot to the ball. It was smart play. Allen couldn't quite find Whitnell. Good tackle. Loose ball. Hume pounced on it. Was he legged? Not paid. McGregor, wild kick out of defence. Needing a good bounce was Robin. Got an ugly one. Houghton, loose player set up is Beaumont. Should run in. 35 metres out. Beaumont should kick a goal. Bad miss.
He did everything right up until the execution of the kick, because a left footer was on a pretty tight angle. He actually stepped inside his opponent. He opened up the angle to goal. You could just see him wait till the Adelaide player committed himself, ran around, but just stabbed at it in the end.
Probably had more time than he thought in the end.
Young Sher to bring the ball back into play. Youngster from Benalla. Just his 2nd year with the Crows. A lot of injuries last year. Obviously testing in key defence today. At full-back with Bassett playing on the forward line. Welsh covering a lot of territory. Bickley, last year's captain. Laddams.
He looks good.
Keen to impress. Couldn't get a game in the midfield with the Bombers, but then again, who could? Bassett. Edwards on the burst, 30 metres out. Great kick. He's a class player.
Well, that's a brilliant finish, Tyson Edwards. But Nathan Bassett, he's an interesting one. We have seen him on the odd occasion thrown forward to good effect, and he's doing it again thus far this morning. He's let out, well, this afternoon, he's let out a couple of times and delivered handballs. And this time, after some good work from young Chris Laddams, he's a very classy player for a bloke that we haven't seen any of at this stage. And Tyson Edwards, the finish was just clinical from a tight angle on the run.
Well, he's been an underrated player, hasn't he, Tyson Edwards? Really started off as a wingman and played a bit in the back pocket, but last year he's 4th in their best and fairest, became a major player for the Crows. He's quick and can use the ball. There's Rhett Bigland on screen. Took over as the #1 ruckman last year for the Crows. It surprised a lot of people. They were expecting Matthew Clark and also Sean Wren. Bigland's got a huge leap at the centre bounce. Camporelli just continues to dominate. 8 possessions, make that 9. Allen, just a bit of time for think music. Pumps the ball long. Porter's going to be the target. Whitnell, one-hander. Couldn't take it. Good tackle by Hume. Tenacious. Finally forcing the ball over the line, through for a behind.
It's an unusual sight, but a pleasing one. Whenever you see a ruckman in space have a couple of bounces, isn't it just a good skill for a big fella to show?
Such a mobile player, isn't he,
Yep.
Matthew Allen?
There was that very famous bit of footage with Justin Madden out at Waverley when he went for that run. I'm just trying to think who was chasing him. There was another lumbering ruckman chasing him at the same time. They looked like they were in treacle. Stevens from half-back. Spots it well, Matthew Clark. He's very mobile for a ruckman. Had his studies last year in Queensland. His vet studies maybe took away his concentration. Smart.
Oh, good lead.
Drills it. Bassett.
Good lead from Bassett once again, and good disposal from...
A great build-up from the Adelaide Crows with Goodwin, the best and fairest winner from last year. A good handball to Nigel Smart and a beautiful kick. That extra metre in front for Nathan Bassett just to finish off the kick from Smart, and good pair of hands. So
just kicked it off the instep, Smart. It's just a very clever kick.
Well, Bassett has been regarded as probably the best young fullback in the business. He's only played just over 50 games, but they have lined him up on the forward line today. Can he kick like a forward? Kicks it magnificently.
Well, that's certainly capping off a positive start for the Crows. The one thing they do need to do, if they do get a bit of the ball, is make sure that they convert that into points on the scoreboard, and they're doing that thus far. Good work upfield. They transferred the ball very well from half-back, and Nigel Smart delivered the ball beautifully. And that's a strong mark for a man that's not used to playing up at this end of the ground to leap and mark the ball out there and then finish it off with a beautiful kick.
(3-2-20) the Crows, 1-4-10 the Blues. And Doug, I notice the great man is warming up on the boundary line.
Yeah, certainly is at the moment, KB. Won't be long before he gets a run on the ground, I think. Probably in the next 4 or 5 minutes, I believe.
Craig Bradley. Laddams again in the action. Bassett backing back. He's got 2 to beat. Coming over the top was Vance. Finally forced through for a behind.
I'll tell you what, Barry Stone and Bassett, what about the move of Ken McGregor down the centre half-back? He's doing a fair job on Lance Whitnell.
He is, and it's a good move too, I think, because when you're a young fellow, centre half-back's probably a bit easier to get into and get developed as your player. And I think being at centre half-back, you can run straight ahead and see the game, read the game better than centre half-forward when you're a young fellow coming through.
Easier spot to play, centre half-back. Apart from the ruck, where you get free kicks that no one can see. Half-forward line. Won a lot of the crumbs, the Crows, which is surprising. Kick was poor. It's been marked by Vance. Just played the 4 games with the Blues. Ange Christou. Injuries again last year, but reports are he's fit and well. Manton, Mr. Fix-It. Rockets the ball wide to Fletcher. Former Geelong player, Barry.
Yes, he is.
Half-forward line, Plunkett. Can't get there for a toss back in. 21 plays 10. Adelaide Crows doing well. Goal kickers. Bassett has kicked the goal along with Edwards and Laddams. And for Carlton, Jimmy Plunkett is their sole goal kicker in this first term. Porter. Having a go in the ruck. Great evasive action that time by Tyson Edwards. Bode to Laddams. He has been very impressive. His kick wasn't really good. Set up Goodwin. McKay always works himself out of traffic. Great awareness. So is this man, McLeod. Couldn't hit a target in Perry. Boundary throw in. Still on the half-forward flank for the Adelaide Crows. And I think they've surprised the Blues in this first quarter.
They have. They jumped out of the box pretty well, the Adelaide Crows. And with their forwards set up, certainly surprised them in that way. We've got Darren Jarman now down the forward line as well. So it's pretty potent down there.
All accounts, not
Here's
too
one of those
impressive
free
last
kicks
week.
you're talking about, KB.
They are the best free kicks in the business. Both ruckmen run back. No idea whose free kick it is. Tiggy Touchwood free kicks. Forced over the line, Brendan Favola.
Well, we highlighted him earlier, Chris Laddams, as one of the Ansett future flyers. He's had 6 possessions already in the first quarter. Looks very dangerous. A deadly left foot and very fleet of foot.
Well, he was keen to go across there, wasn't he? Simply because the Mark Mercury and the Johnson boys and Carousella down at Essen, just too tough to break into.
I think originally being an Adelaide boy, it's always easier settling in your hometown.
Hickmott to the half-forward line. Favola was a target. Doing well was Goodwin. Couldn't keep the ball alive. Favola showing some agility, playing out from goals. Good tackle by McGregor on Whitnell. Plunkett did well, goes short. Favola tries to trap it. Pulls his opponent off the ball, didn't have it. And there's a ball up just 20 metres out from Carlton's goal.
One thing the Carlton forwards are doing at the moment is putting enormous pressure on the loose ball. The Crows defenders just don't have any time to dispose of the ball, and they're creating half chances for themselves up forward, Carlton.
Tackling's been pretty strong. You generally find that in the early pre-season games because the touch sometimes is just not quite there. So instead of taking it with a one grab, you form a bit of a pack. And
there's a few skill errors early. I think they'll probably sort it out as the game goes on. Like last night, the first quarter was quite scratchy, but it got better as the game went on.
Just saw Red Biglands warming up. Bickley brought away that time by the Crows in defence. They've done very well in this first term. Got another boundary throw in on centre wing. Matthew Robran on screen.
Barry, what about the Brett Rutten not playing? You've got Craig Bradley on the bench. Scott Camperale, you think someone might sit on him and tag him? He's been outstanding.
You're right, because I was watching the boundary throwing before, and he was about 20 minutes on his own. He's got about 8 touches already this quarter, and you'd think someone would probably stand on him for most of the game, but he's been on his own most of this quarter.
Beaumont to Plunkett. 65 metres out, centering kick for Volo. In front, he's got strong hands. Good defensive play. Camperale, the tackler. Goodwin, good hands, goes wide. Finds Scher, comes away from half-back, pumps the ball high. Running with the flight of the ball was Vance. Edwards. So quick on his feet, Tyson Edwards, one of the quickest players for the Crows. Gets the ball back to young Scher. Wants to set it up wide. Finds McLeod. Couldn't have picked a better option, and McLeod will drill it and finds Perry. Too far out to score, I'd suggest, Barry.
It's a fair way out from there. About 60 metres out. It'd be a thumping kick if you got it through.
Looking for a lead.
There's no space.
He's looking for Jarman. Well, Jarman is there. He's been closely checked by young Chris Massey. So that's a good part of his education. Bode, quick kick. McKay. Cool under pressure to Vance across half back. Goes short. He's looking for Fletcher. Stenglein can't trap it. Does well. Keeps the ball alive. So still a chance for the Crows. Still 65, 70 metres out from goal. Going in very hard that time was Houlihan, and he's given away the free kick. Stenglein goes wide. Finds McLeod. 2 Norm Smith medals. Andrew McLeod. Kick didn't really hit its target. Stevens recovers well. Broken leg last year. Finds Smart. They backtrack and retreat. Thump the ball forward. Deep into the forward line and backing back is Porter. That came from Crowell, who did play on the forward line last year for the Crows. This year, he's lined up in defence as well. Might be a learning experience. Whitnell always plays in front. Great hands. Just needs some runners. Needs some port. Gets it from Freeborn. Comes down from half-back. Got a touch of the fumbles. McGregor. Doug Hawkins has been right. He's been very good across half-back. They set it up. Finds Edwards. Starting to cause some trouble. 7 possessions and 2 marks in this opening term. Scott Welsh backs back. And Christo, clever play.
Just watching Adelaide, their assaults into the forward on the last couple have been zigzagging around in short passes. Gives the Carlton defenders time to push down and crowd the forward line up. They really had no space, the Adelaide forwards, to lead into the last couple of assaults they've had in the forward line because of that fact of disposal football and just chipping it around and short hand passes and short passes.
Porter caught behind. Christo. Got a bit of support that time from Beaumont. The run is on from Massey, who runs away from Jarman.
Oh.
Poor handball, got caught in 2 minds. They've done it well. Camperale on the burst through the centre square. Goes short. Too much carry again on the ball. Crowell, the crummer, came from Smart. McLeod sets it up with quick hands to Goodwin. Couple of old heads combined. Rockets the ball wide. Under pressure. That time, that was young Scher. And the Blues will get out of trouble. Fletcher, high handball. Difficult one. Stenglein the tackler on Hume. Loose ball.
Glad someone finally kicked it.
And a poor kick by Tyson Edwards to Manton. 3-3-21 the Crows. 1-4-10 the Blues. Fletcher. to Manton. Just sharing the ball around. Vance. Still on the half-back flank.
You talk about Camporelli.
You would think they're a point in front trying to run down the clock.
Well, but you look at Camporelli running loose like this. He's actually playing on Andrew McLeod at the moment, and they're both just backing themselves to win the ball.
Well, they'll both get a lot of the ball, no doubt about that, as McKay pumps the ball along. McGregor doing well, played in front. Porter
well
to
done.
Whitnell, needs a bounce, goes to the ground, got to keep your feet, bounces up, lost it, had it. Was he held? Crunch that time by Stevens. Big tackle by Hickmott.
Yeah.
And he's ping.
Well, that is a magnificent tackle, but you just wonder if the umpire has bowed to the crowd pressure there. They thought Lance Whitnell should have got the initial kick. That's a beauty. What hope did he have of getting rid of that? He has just been poleaxed by Adrian Hickmott.
That's his trademark too, Adrian Hickmott. An old Geelong player from years before, and the way he attacks the ball and the player, he's one of the best going around. He's like an Aaron Hamill. He's so aggressive and just runs open in it all the time. And that tackle just trademark of Adrian over the years.
Hopefully he can finish a little bit better from this pocket where we've seen Whitnell and Porter have trouble.
This will bring the Blues to within 5 points. Hickmott kicks a goal.
Been a very good pickup since crossing from Geelong, Adrian Hickmott. He's fitted into the Blues lineup well, can fill a midfield role or at half forward. You just see here Lance Whitnell, well, it was a half handball, but then certainly he was hung on to. He should have got the free kick. Porter came in over the top, then Stevens picked up the ball, but Adrian Hickmott just drilled him, and that was the end of the story.
Just a few seconds remaining in this first quarter. 3-3-21 the Crows, the Blues 2-4-16. Hickmott was just terrific in the finals last year for Carlton. Really did step up a notch. Bode was clever play to Laddams, to the run of McLeod. Should kick a goal, 35 metres out.
Oh.
It's the post.
Unlucky.
Well, a bit rusty. The siren sounds. Entertaining first quarter and a good quarter by the Adelaide Crows. 3-4-22 and Carlton 2-4-16. So the Blues trail by 6 points.
Plenty of feeling early on in this game. They're certainly having a crack at it both sides. The pressure and the tackling's been very, very good at this stage. Adelaide started particularly well, and they've managed to hang on to that good opening lead. Carlton have fought back, but at quarter time, after an exciting opening quarter, we've got Adelaide in front by a margin of 6 points.